37 years of playing the cello, 20 years of teaching, hundreds of private cello students, over 1,000 classroom orchestra students. These really are the top 3 things that can go wrong with the bow hold in the beginning, that also do the most damage to the tone. Really important to keep in mind as we go through this, everything we are talking about has to do with improving the tone, improving the overall sound quality of your playing. So as you're going through it and stopping to correct yourself, it's really important to remember this goal, that we are trying to sound good, to play at a higher level. I know that sounds like overstating the obvious. What happens in the course of all this stuff, though, is that great cello playing can feel like this big pie in the sky kind of a thing, and we get caught up in the whirlwind of everything that there is to think about. Stay focused on the sound, on the aural goal, and everything will be okay. Number 1, the index finger not doing what it is supposed to, and the one I have seen a lot lately is curling under the stick, like this. That's pretty bad. And this is double bad for your sound. Your index finger is a very powerful, very independent finger, which is really useful in most situations. When it comes to your bow hold, though, all that functionality can get you into trouble. I have seen all sorts of things happen with the index finger, and even seen some extreme badness with the index finger completely extended like this. Yes, just sitting out there doing all the work, pressing into the stick. The one that I have seen the most recently is the one I mentioned earlier, the index finger curling under the stick. Now, the reason this one is doubly bad is because it's not only, really bad hand position for your bow, but it also puts the force into the exact wrong direction. We want the energy, the weight, going toward the string at all times. And anything that gets in the way of that is going to be a detriment to the tone. The other one I see a lot is the index finger pointed out away from the bow, like this, with only the middle portion in contact with the bow. The problem with this one is that the tip of the finger is not in contact with the bow and thus not helping with any of the other jobs the bow hand has, like playing artistically and creating all those articulations and colors that we want to do when we're playing music. The index finger needs to be with the rest of the family, in a similar shape and trajectory to the frog. This little device, called a tadpole, shows perfectly where the index finger is supposed to go. Most of the time, the side of the finger turned in toward the stick is touching or rubbing against the washboard or the equivalent spot on a real bow. Sometimes, and maybe even more than sometimes, depending on the piece and the dynamic level, that same side really comes into the top of the stick to pronate the weight into the middle and upper half of the bow. Most of the time, the weight or energy going into the stick should come from properly transferring it through the whole hand, not just the index finger. Like I mentioned, though, earlier, the ultimate job is to make music, create color, and communicate ideas. Having said that, when needed, pronating this way with the side of the finger coming into the top of the stick can give that extra power to the sound that you may want. Number 2, thumb slipping under the stick. This is also doubly bad for the same reasons as the index finger curling under. When the thumb slips under like this, the force is going in the opposite direction from where it should be going, which is toward the string. As a beginner, we are trying to develop tone, trying to improve the sound as much as we can and start to make a really professional sound as soon as possible. This requires the weight of the arm and that we transmit that weight properly through the hand and into the bow. When we are doing things that reverse that are in complete opposition to that, well, we don't make any progress. The proper placement of the thumb is a nice 45-degree angle, rounded, partly touching the frog, partly touching the stick. I have some videos that mention this specifically. I will link them in a playlist at the end of this video. Now, this third one on the list is actually related to the first two because it happens as a reaction to those two things I just mentioned. I see this all the time, and it happens because a student is very well-meaning and determined to do things correctly. The index finger, it's supposed to stay over here with the rest of the fingers pointed down and curved like this. The thumb is supposed to be on the outside, not slipping under and partly touching the frog and partly touching the stick. I can hold the bow like this, really bad, and get many of those points right, if not all of them, except my hand is not supposed to look like this. This other version results in a hand that is very tensed up and not able to move and flex correctly the way it needs to produce the proper tone. The fingers must be flexible and rounded and touching all these key points of contact. All right, how about a bonus since you're still here? This is the most important thing that I will say about beginner bowhold because it affects all of these things I just mentioned and really makes or breaks your progress. It truly is the number one thing that causes the bowhold to go wrong, and that is not stopping to check it and fix the bowhold when things are going wrong. You have to stop and check often. I mean, really stop a lot. Every few measures, every few minutes at least, and reset the hand. It takes time to develop the muscles in your hand and fingers to hold it properly, and until that happens, it needs constant reminders, constant resetting. And when you stop to fix, really take the time to reset it properly. I see a lot of beginners move their hand around on the bow, one-handed like this, trying to reset the bow hold, and this just isn't enough. You have to hold the bow in your other hand and give your bow hand the freedom to go precisely where it needs to. I mentioned that I have some other videos where I talk about the shape and placement of the thumb, but first, if you are liking this and want to see more of it, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, and thanks in advance for doing that. The bowhold stuff that I have, you can find in this playlist over here. If you want to know more about practicing better and things that can go wrong with practicing in general when you are a beginner, check out this video over here. Thanks.